Hello, everyone, and welcome. Please take your seats. Well, hello, everyone. Let's hear it for this wonderful 50th plenary session. Thank you for being here. I'm Laura Schwartz, your moderator and really storyteller for this 50th anniversary plenary session. Because today, we embark on a journey through the decades, exploring the rich history of the International Association for the Study of Lung Cancer. From its beginnings in the 1970s to the transformative innovations that still continue today, IASLC has been and continues to be at the forefront of thoracic cancer research, education, and patient care. Now on stage, you'll notice I have with me luminaries from the IASLC. We'll have a chance to hear their stories and their insights. We'll also be asking for your participation as we explore the scientific advances, collaboration, friendships, and impacts central to this powerful organization. Now, as you listen, we ask you to envision your role in the IASLC now and into the future, as together we conquer lung and other thoracic cancers worldwide. Now, many of you weren't even born 50 years ago, and you won't remember what it was like when there were no targeted therapies or checkpoint inhibitors, no PET scans, and certainly no treatments for mesothelioma. Well, today, we're confronted with the benefit of multiple therapeutic options. One of the reasons we have these choices is because of your passion, your dedication to working together and pushing the field forward. The IASLC has just released its 50th anniversary book. And now this book is a trove of information. It has stories and insights, and we encourage all of you to stop by the IASLC booth or just scan the QR code to order your copy. Dr. Paul Bunn and Dr. Fred Hirsch, two of our guests on stage, had the idea for this history book and have spent countless hours over the past several years with managing editor and publisher Deb Whippen, ensuring that this book came to fruition. So Dr. Bunn, Dr. Hirsch, Deb, the chapter writers, the IASLC staff, and editors, a sincere thank you to you all. Let's hear it for them. Now, the 1970s. Oh, yeah. Now, who remembers the 70s and what was happening in the world then? Globally, it was a time of exploration and experimentation in music and film, fashion, and technology. It was also a time when the world saw a continuous rise in lung cancer mortality rates worldwide. In 1970, there was no cure envisioned for lung cancer. There wasn't even one of our races for the cure. But the causes of lung cancer, they were starting to become understood, and understood due to the seminal work of two British epidemiologists who clearly established a link between smoking tobacco and the incidence of lung cancer. There began a concerted global effort to manage lung cancer. The first international workshop for the therapy of lung cancer was held in Virginia in the United States in October of 1972. The enthusiasm for an interchange of ideas among a multidisciplinary and international group, that was palpable, and the number of attendees showed it. You know, that meeting went so well that Dr. David Carr, a medical oncologist from the US, planted the seed for the formation of an international organization, emphasizing the importance of multidisciplinary approaches to cancer management. He went on to chair an international committee to organize a professional society and prepare a constitution and bylaws for what is now known as the IASLC. Now, in October of 1974, the IASLC officially launched with 250 founding members from 28 countries. The original mission and vision were clear: to promote the study of lung cancer and improve the care of patients through research, education, and collaboration. Since 1974, the IASLC has brought together the best global minds such as yours across all disciplines. Now, in order to connect to members, the IASLC began issuing periodic newsletters in 1975 with Dr. Lawrence Broder, a US medical oncologist, as editor. With much of the building blocks of the IASLC established, a logo was needed, a logo to show what the association stood for. The first IASLC logo design was created by Mrs. Laura Palmer, actually the daughter of the IASLC's first treasurer, Dr. George Higgins. The logo is described as a sword to symbolically represent the staff of Aesculapius, the god of healing, and the caduceus of Hermes, as a symbol of medicine conquering lung cancer, represented by the tracheobronchial tree, the lungs, and the world. With IASLC being fully established, the desire to collaborate across disciplines and continents increased. And so in 1978, the first World Conference on Lung Cancer was held on Hilton Head Island, chaired by US thoracic surgeon Dr. Ronald Vincent. Now, we are fortunate enough to have on stage Dr. Paul Bunn, a medical oncologist at the University of Colorado in the US, who served as both president and IASLC executive director. Now, Dr. Bunn is a Distinguished Service Award winner and a giant in the field of thoracic oncology. With that, please, let's welcome Dr. Bunn. Dr. Bunn. Doctor, you joined the IASLC early in your career, and you've been an active member ever since. It must have impacted you greatly. And in fact, you've attended every single WCLC. So, Doctor, can you share what it felt like when you attended that very first conference? Maybe some of your favorite memories and what the IASLC means to you.
Sure, but before I begin, since I've been to every World Congress, I wonder if there's anybody in the audience who's attended every World Conference. If so, please stand up.
Let's see, do we have any?
No.
I know some. All right.
I know there is one. So when I began, I was a fellow at the National Cancer Institute, and all they studied was lymphoma. But the leading cause of cancer death then, and growing, was lung cancer. And so the NCI started the lung cancer VA medical oncology branch, where I met colleagues including John Minna, Dan Eide, Mary Matthews, Adi Gazdar, Fred Hirsch, Jim Mulshine, Des Carney, and Bruce Johnson. And we continue the idea of having multidisciplinary interactions that would take place around the world to improve the outcomes for patients with lung cancer and other thoracic cancers. The IASLC's goal from the beginning was to develop knowledge through multidisciplinary and international collaborations. I'm continually amazed by the progress in the biology, the staging, the early detection, prevention, and therapy, as well as supportive care and patient advocates that have happened over the last 50 years. The World Conferences have played a major role in keeping us all together to learn about these advances in all aspects of thoracic cancer care. We've been partially successful with tremendous progress, but there's much to be done. Lung cancer is now making more progress than many other cancers, where multidisciplinary efforts have led to the significant improvements in our outcomes. We celebrate this 50th anniversary as a moment to reflect on the past and a call to continue to advance care for our patients. Personally, I've been fortunate to have the support of a wonderful family, friends, and colleagues from around the world, many introduced through the IASLC. These relationships have profoundly affected my life, and I'm proud to celebrate this with all of you. I encourage each of you to meet someone new at this meeting, to learn about their life, their culture, and their knowledge. Please apply for a fellowship or mentor through the Academy, chair a meeting, serve on a committee, and share your ideas. The networking opportunities through the IASLC may change your life as it has mine. Thank you so much.
Dr. Bunn, thank you. Dr. Bunn has made incredible contributions to the IASLC and, of course, the field at large, and we are grateful. Now, that emphasis on forming new connections at the WCLC, well, it paid off quickly. By the end of the 1970s, membership doubled due to the foundational leadership of its first presidents, and the IASLC was just getting started. Now, the 1980s. The 80s, the beginning of a global era in culture, economics, and international collaboration. For IASLC, it was a decade in which they transitioned into truly a multidisciplinary and global organization. Now, the 80s saw 4 WCLCs. Our founders embraced rotating the WCLC site, another nod to their understanding that we can learn from global cultures and collaborations. Now, if you attended your first WCLC in the 1980s, please stand up so we can applaud you. 1980s. Wonderful. Thank you. Now, many of you in the audience won't know this, but in the 80s, for those flying internationally, you could elect to sit in either the smoking or non-smoking section of the airplane because they thought curtains were a great smoke barrier. Well, we all know that wasn't true. Now, however, landmark studies from this decade began to show the significant risks of secondhand smoke, spearheading future public health policies and extraordinary research. Attempts to detect lung cancer early was a high priority. However, 4 randomized trials involving X-rays and sputum cytology were unable to show a reduction in lung cancer mortality. Now, computed tomography as an advanced imaging tool was introduced, leading to the visualization, the diagnosis, and staging of lung cancer that we heavily rely on even today. Now, little did we know then that would have an additional role as a screening tool later. Committees working within the IASLC are essential to our mission. One of the first to be established and one of the most active was the Pathology Committee. Rumor has it, it started its first meeting in a stairwell at a WCLC. Now, the committee, in collaboration with the World Health Organization, introduced histological subtypes of non-small cell lung cancer, improved diagnostic criteria, and introduced rare subtypes like adenosquamous carcinoma and bronchoalveolar carcinoma. On stage, we have with us an expert in pathology, a former CEO of the IASLC. Dr. Fred Hirsch is a pathologist and medical oncologist at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York. He has a passion for accurate pathological standardization. And he is also a Distinguished Service Award winner and has contributed to numerous IASLC atlases and papers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Hirsch. Dr. Hirsch, thank you so much for being here. You know, for those that weren't part of this work back then, could you tell us what it was like to make these pathological discoveries in the 1980s and the importance of this organization's involvement?
Thank you, Laura, and thanks to the leadership in IASLC for the opportunity to summarize and reflect on the history. In the late 70s and early 1980s, there was a strong focus on understanding the biology and pathology of lung cancer in greater detail than we did before. This was driven in part by the therapeutic optimism, particularly surrounding small cell lung cancer at that time, which appeared particularly to be sensitive to chemotherapy and radiation therapy. Alongside biological studies, we also concentrated on pathology and morphologic classification of lung cancer. Dr. Mary Matthews, Dr. Adi Gaster, Dr. Sina Eisner, all from NCI, and Dr. Raymond Yesner from Yale, and myself from Copenhagen, were deeply involved in the classification and morphologic variation of small cell lung cancer and studied the biological and clinical implication of this heterogeneity. Dr. Matthews, Dr. Gaster, and myself proposed for the board of directors of IASLC to establish a pathology committee. And at that time, we had also a strong relationship with the World Health Organization. The proposal led to the formation of the committee and later fostered collaboration through multiple editions of the WHO classification of lung cancer. My mentor in Copenhagen, Dr. Heine Hansen, was instrumental in developing the IASLC as an organization. I was fortunate to be a part of this development since in the mid of 1970s, when I was a medical student in Copenhagen and worked closely with Heine, contributing both scientifically and organizationally to the IASLC's growth. We created the first IASLC newsletters, and I continue to manage this for many years. It has been incredible to witness the IASLC evolution over the years, from its early stages to the establishment of smaller, larger conferences, focused workshops, newsletters, and journals. The IASLC has fostered scientific collaborations across the globe and built lifelong friendships among colleagues worldwide. I would strongly encourage all the young lung cancer investigators here at the conference and out to actively engage in IASLC activities. It is an invaluable opportunity that cannot be underestimated. And before I leave, I would like to thank all the people who have joined us in this long journey. I would certainly thank my mentors, particularly, of course, the late Heine Hansen in Copenhagen and Dr. Paul Bahn sitting here. But most of all, I would like to thank my wife, Pia. She has supported me, but she has also been instrumental in the development of IASLC over practically the whole period of time. So thank you to Pia, thank you to my supervisors, and thank you to IASLC.
And thank you, Dr. Hirsch. It is truly incredible, the family that you have within IASLC and the families at home of which root you on and feel committed as you. Thank you so much, Dr. Hirsch. Now, in this decade, the first multimodality treatment came on the scene. That was with the addition of chest radiotherapy to chemotherapy for patients with limited stage small cell lung cancer. Today, multimodality treatment is widely used across all stages of lung cancer. Now, in the early 80s, chemotherapy was efficacious in many cancers, but not in lung cancer. That was until a pivotal Canadian trial demonstrated a survival benefit for cisplatin-based chemotherapy regimens for patients with advanced non-small cell lung cancer. Now, although this was proclaimed as a major milestone, work continued to convert this double black diamond survival curve to one with a plateau. Clinically relevant advances extended beyond lung cancer, such as the development of the Masaoka stage classification for thymic tumors, which was crucial for the prognostication and treatment planning. Now, the pace of advancement called for a dedicated platform to publish peer-reviewed research on lung cancer. IASLC answered the call, and the journal Lung Cancer was born, with Dr. Heine Hansen as the editor. The 1980s were characterized by incremental advances, but laid the groundwork for breakthroughs yet to come. Our IASLC presidents were instrumental in guiding this organization through a transformative period. Now, the 1990s. As the 1990s began, the global dynamic was shifting rapidly. New openness emerged in global collaboration, and the technology growth of the last 2 decades exploded. We began to see the foundation laid for faster, more real-time communication, making our world a little smaller and better connected. In the 1990s, the thoracic cancer community began to feel hope. Stand up if your first WCLC was in this decade. Excellent. Thank you. We appreciate all of you. Now, the IASLC continued to address gaps in the field. For example, Dr. Clifton Mountain, a foundational leader of the IASLC, proposed the fourth edition of the TNM classification for lung cancer. Dr. Mountain's initial database was small, about 3,700 cases from one single institution. But he foresaw that the IASLC was perfectly positioned to assume responsibility for the staging system and to expand it. The IASLC Staging Committee was assembled in the late 90s, tasked to create an international database of cases to further refine staging. The field of thoracic oncology has been profoundly shaped by the IASLC TNM classification system. Technologies expanded and improved throughout the 1990s. The advent of PET imaging for diagnosing mediastinal and distant metastasis meant that patients could now avoid unnecessary surgeries and clinicians could improve treatment planning. The minimally invasive technique of VATS for early-stage lung cancer and thymic malignancies reduced surgical trauma. They lowered complication rates and offered faster outcomes, faster recovery without compromise. Now, not all patients were candidates for surgery because their local disease was beyond their local surgeon's ability to obtain a complete resection. Radiotherapy alone was the preferred treatment for non-small cell lung cancer. In this decade, the addition of chemotherapy prior to radiation was a major milestone in improving survival for this group of patients. One of the biggest sources of hope, the emergence of not one, but 6 novel agents to evaluate alone and in countless combinations. Clinical oncologists were thrilled and kept very busy. Prevention was and is a high priority of this association. IASLC's first tobacco policy was presented at the 7th WCLC in 1994. These recommendations emphasize the critical need for comprehensive tobacco control measures, including public education on the dangers of smoking, the implementation of smoking cessation programs, and stringent regulations to reduce tobacco use. As broad as the scientific advances of this decade were, so were the organizational and membership developments of the IASLC. Continuing to formalize our structure and leadership, Dr. Heine Hansen became the first executive director of the IASLC during this decade. Now, realizing the progress being made, the IASLC established the Distinguished Service Awards. These awards are meant to honor members making significant contributions to thoracic cancer research, treatment, and prevention. So be sure to congratulate 2024's and previous year's Distinguished Service Award winners. I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Desmond Carney. Dr. Carney contributed greatly to the IASLC during this time. He is a medical oncologist from Dublin, Ireland, a Distinguished Service Awardee, and a pioneer in small cell lung cancer treatment and biology. In addition to being president of the IASLC, Dr. Carney also chaired the 1997 WCLC and even got the president of Ireland to speak. So with that, welcome Dr. Carney. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Dr. Carney. Dr. Carney, can you share with us some of the advancements of lung cancer, the treatment, especially in those 1990s? What discoveries and collaborations and memories stick with you, and why this organization is so important to you?
When I first joined the IASLC in the late 70s, I could never have imagined the friendship and connection that would last for my whole lifetime. We talk about camaraderie, scientific interaction together. Everybody is saying it. It is the most important part of this organization. During my 40 years in IASLC, I've served on the board for 12 members and had the honor of being president of IASLC for 2 years. But we've witnessed the growth of community growth, evolution, the profound impact we've made on people's lives. More people are living today and surviving lung cancer than ever before, but as Dr. Bond said, we still have a long way to go. The defining moment of my journey was hosting the 8th World Conference on Lung Cancer in Dublin in August 1997. As those who've hosted these organizations, the camaraderie, commitment, the scientific explosion that takes place, you never forget. The meeting was recognized by the presence of President Mary Robinson, who was then President of Ireland, that it was not just a formality, but a testament to the global significance of our work and the respect it commands. The 1997 was a beacon of hope, especially in chemotherapy and biological therapy. 3 studies stick to mind. One study confirming the importance of timing of radiation with chemo in limited stage small cell. A study by Dr. Bond of anti-growth factor therapy in lung cancer. And the study promoting 6 new agents that had significant activity in both small cell and non-small cell lung cancer, including paclitaxel, docetaxel, topotecan, irinotecan, vinorelbine, and gemcitabine, evaluated both as single agents and in combinations. And those of us involved in the management of lung cancer today know how important these agents are for not only in small cell, but in non-small cell lung cancer. I was very fortunate in my earlier career to be involved in the generation of small cell lung cancer cell lines and non-small cell lung cancer cell lines. In fact, most of my 8 years in the NCI was sitting in the laboratory trying to grow these specimens from fresh, newly diagnosed patients. We learned an awful lot from those cell lines. They were not homogeneous, they were heterogeneous. And some had some markers and some lacked others. What was very interesting that those biological markers predicted the response of these patients to both chemotherapy and radiation therapy, and are still invaluable forms of research today. As we celebrate these milestones, it's important to remember those who've gone beyond before us, including Dr. Gazder, Matthews, Eide, and a special friend and mentor, Dr. Heine Hansen, about whom we've heard a lot today. He was a mentor, a source of wisdom, and he was the one man who encouraged me to come back and stay in Europe, for which I have no regrets. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Carney, for being with us today and your incredible accomplishments to propel all of us and the patients we serve forward in the field. Now, the hope felt as the 1990s came to a close would not have been possible without the continued leadership of our IASLC presidents and executive director during this important decade. Now, the 2000s. A decade defined by the exponential growth of digital technology. The widespread adoption of the internet revolutionized the world in the way we interacted, the way we worked, and the way we consumed information. It was a decade of landmark discoveries, creating a treatment revolution, benefiting patients. There were so many advances. The World Conference actually had to start moving to every other year. The IASLC introduced the Lectureship Award Program to recognize members making outstanding contributions to the thoracic cancer community. If you attended your first WCLC in the 2000s, please stand. Wonderful. Thank you. Now, for the first time, cisplatin-based adjuvant chemotherapy showed a survival benefit in completely resected non-small cell lung cancer and became the standard of care. Thanks to our members, the 7th edition of the TNM classification for lung cancer included 100,000 cases from 45 institutions across 20 countries. It was published. Now this led to better prognosis, treatment planning, and clinical research. Technologies became more sophisticated with the introduction of the endobronchial ultrasound, navigational bronchioscopy, and robotic-assisted thoracic surgery, making it safer to diagnose, stage, and treat our patients. Our community, being competitive by nature, they asked if one of the third-generation agents was superior. The answer was no. Each combination was equally as effective, thus providing patients with the treatment option that best fit their lifestyle. Joining the list of agents was pemetrexed, a new cytotoxic agent that showed efficacy for non-small cell lung cancer and set a new standard of care for mesothelioma. The discovery of epidermal growth factor receptor mutations, known as EGFR, marked a significant breakthrough in the understanding and treatment of lung cancer. This ushered in an era of precision medicine that would grow beyond imagination, forever changing how physicians, researchers, patients, and industry approach this disease. I'm excited to introduce to you the first female IASLC president, Dr. Frances Shepard. She is a medical oncologist. That's right. Dr. Shepard is a medical oncologist from Princess Margaret Cancer Centre in Toronto, Canada. She is a Distinguished Service Award winner and mentor to many in this room. Let's welcome Dr. Shepard. Dr. Shepard. Doctor, could you share some light on how the discovery of EGFR mutations was so profound for the treatment of patients and what it was like when those discoveries were made in the thoracic cancer community?
Well, thank you, Laura. One extremely memorable moment from the past 50 years was at ASCO 2004 when we presented the data from the BR21 trial. This was the first randomized trial to confirm that erlotinib, an EGFR TKI, prolonged survival after first or second line chemotherapy. We were actually told we should never do this trial and that EGFR TKI should be in first line, but we soldiered on and we did the trial and we showed a significant survival benefit and quality of life benefits for people with stage 4 lung cancer from a well-tolerated once-a-day pill.
Amazing.
We didn't select patients based on any EGFR marker. Why was that? Well, we knew that EGFR was expressed at the protein level, and that's the only marker we had in virtually 90% of lung cancers. So we thought we can power up. We don't need to select. It would just slow down the trial. And so we went ahead. And lo and behold, we had a positive trial.
Wow.
But at around the same time, As the trial was published, not when we designed it, but when the trial was published, along came the discovery of the EGFR mutations. And of course, this set the stage for molecularly targeted therapy and personalized cancer treatment for the next 2 decades. We can now say with pride that lung cancer is the poster child for molecular medicine as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of this absolutely groundbreaking discovery. I want to change tack a little bit now, Laura, and send some messages to the younger members of the audience and tell you all that there just cannot be a more rewarding career than that of being a clinical trial researcher and a translational researcher, and particularly in lung cancer. You breast cancer people, eat your heart out. We really are having all the fun these days. My other secrets to share with you for building a successful career are collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. Start locally, build up to national, and then international collaboration. Find the very best people in all lung cancer disciplines. Don't just stick with the medical oncologist. Branch out, collaborate with all of your colleagues, and the sum of your career will be so much greater than the individual parts, and you will develop a friendship that we have with IASLC.
Thank you, Dr. Shepard. We are so grateful, Doctor, for your groundbreaking trials, for your groundbreaking leadership, and the groundbreaking collaboration you share with us all and what everyone is doing in this great field. Now, responding to the increased pace of multidisciplinary thoracic oncology research, the IASLC established a journal owned by the association. The first issue of the Journal of Thoracic Oncology, more affectionately known as JTO, premiered in 2006. Knowing that young investigators are the key to the future, the IASLC also started a fellowship program providing significant support to emerging researchers around the world. More than 200 individuals have benefited from this program just since its introduction alone. Now, I'd like to turn to Dr. David Gandera, medical oncologist from the University of California, Davis in the US, former president and treasurer of the IASLC, one of the co-founders of the IASLC Foundation, distinguished service awardee, and, well, too many other accomplishments to mention. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. Gandera. Dr. Gandera, thank you so much for your leadership, sir. You know, you're an experienced mentor and are passionate about the IASLC Fellowship Program, even helping to form the IASLC Foundation to support emerging researchers. So with that, sir, can you talk a bit about why the establishment of the fellowship program is so important to the IASLC, and what advice you might have to give the younger researchers and potential mentors in this room?
Well, thank you, Laura, and it's wonderful to see so many friends and colleagues in the audience tonight. I'll set the stage a bit. I became president of IASLC in 2009. It was from 2009 to 2011. And my platform, because I had a platform, was growth. But it was growth in what I consider to be a meaningful way. So growing the fellowship program, and I'll come back in a moment to the foundation, was instrumental, but it was really more than that. It was also growing our membership, in particular internationally, increasing diversity, increasing inclusiveness in our membership. and beginning to get applications for these Young Investigator Awards from outside the United States. I also wanted to grow our stature. And what I mean by that is, until then, as you heard, we didn't even have a world conference every year. It was every 3 years, then every 2 years. So I wanted us to walk the same walk as ASCO and ESMO and AACR. So the board sat down and we said, what are our unique strengths? Well, the first is that we are the only one of these organizations that is intrinsically international. The I stands for international, as Dr. Bunn has told me many times. And that's from our beginning. Multidisciplinary from the beginning, and highly focused on a group of malignancies, thoracic cancers, compared to these other organizations. So how did we approach these tasks? How would we increase our stature? How would we increase our ability to fund junior investigators? So the first thing is we moved our World Conference to yearly. You cannot believe how controversial that was. And our treasurer at the time said, we're going to lose money, it's going to be a disaster. It was the best thing we could ever do. It was impossible to keep the membership engaged when you only met every other year. It was impossible to keep sponsors engaged when you only met every other year. The second thing is I had just come from the board of directors of ASCO and seen the best of ASCO meetings. We established best of WCLC, which is now done worldwide and is a real asset to us because, again, I said diversity. We want to take the education to the local people rather than them having to come to the World Conference. And then we established the foundation. Again, I got this from my ASCO experience. We needed an organized approach to fundraising, donations from our membership, from corporate sponsors, from donors with family members who had had lung cancer. So we established the foundation, which has been incredibly important in broadening our scope. And I should say also partnerships. David Carbone has been instrumental in this. And then I'll just maybe end by talking a bit about mentorships. A really important part of my career has been mentoring, and I have mentored people from all over the world. It's an incredible part of this society. I think this society, members give as much as they take. So for those of you that are already mentors, I applaud you, senior people. For junior investigators who are in this audience, there is no problem with you reaching out to somebody that you admire, who's in your area of work, and saying, can you help me? And I think you will be surprised how often the answer is yes, and you will build a relationship that will last throughout your career. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Gandera. What a wonderful message on the IASLC as a whole and the mentorship in each one of your hands. Now, knowing that not everyone could travel to the World Conference, IASLC formalized regional educational meetings in Asia Pacific, Latin America, Europe, and North America to keep members updated and provide them with more opportunities to learn, to connect, and of course, to collaborate. The IASLC would not have been able to start expanding the way it did if it were not for the support, the guidance, and respectful cajoling of IASLC's then staff of one, Pia Hirsch. She did everything for everybody and laid the foundation for the staff we have today. Pia, will you please stand so we can cherish you? Thank you, Pia. We recognize and appreciate your commitment to the IASLC, its members, and its mission. Thank you so much. Pia Hirsch. The 2000s moved fast. and the leadership during this decade are appreciated. But hold on, because the development of the 2010s are about to skyrocket all of us to new heights. So now, the 2010s. We remember that. It sounds like rapid or profound change is set in every decade, but the 2010s were truly an era that launched the ability through smartphones and social media to reshape how we communicate and access information. These technologies forever altered how we connect and collaborate, even when we are on opposite sides of the planet. The ability to collaborate led to so much progress in the 2010s that multiple plenaries could have been held. But we'll do our best to give you a quick snapshot of the highlights. Now, suffice to say that there was so much science happening that the World Conference became an annual event. If you attended your first World Conference in the 2010s, please stand. Let's see you. Excellent. Thank you. Now, at last, in 2011, there was a screening or early detection tool. The National Lung Screening Trial, or NLST, demonstrated a reduction in lung cancer mortality among high-risk individuals screened with a low-dose CT. The Nelson study showed a similar reduction in lung cancer mortality. So together, these studies, they cemented the role of screening guidelines and practices. In the aftermath of these data, the IASLC produced the Lung Cancer Screening Statement, recommending a global approach to screening. The statement highlighted the need for countries to work together with government support to overcome barriers to its implementation. The IASLC intensified its tobacco control and smoking cessation initiatives by issuing a new statement highlighting multiple strategies which reduce tobacco exposure and emphasizing support from healthcare providers for individuals striving to quit smoking. Also with us tonight is Dr. David Carbone, a medical oncologist at the Ohio State Comprehensive Cancer Center in the U.S., a former IASLC president, chair of the IASLC Foundation Advisory Board, Distinguished Service Award winner, and a strong proponent of the association. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Carbone. Dr. Carbone, thank you so much for being here. I wonder, Doctor, if you could take the audience back to the time of the NLST and Nelson studies. How do these impact clinical practice and the organization?
Well, this decade, the 2010s, was bookended by two publications from large randomized trials proving that low-dose non-contrast helical CT scans can detect lung cancer early when it's most curable and improve lung cancer mortality in this high-risk population specified by age and tobacco use. This had a huge potential to save lives, and the IASLC was in a unique position to bring together international multidisciplinary leaders to discuss how to best define at-risk populations and, importantly, how to implement these early detection strategies that were established in the NLST and confirmed in the Nelson trials. This international collaboration led to the impactful statements on low-dose CT screening and smoking cessation. In spite of its global impact, and unlike other cancers with screening modalities, lung cancer screening has had a particular challenge in getting universal acceptance and implementation into clinical practice. For me personally, interactions with international colleagues such as John Fields in the Liverpool Lung Project and Claudia Henschke ILCAP, really stimulated me as well as others in the IASLC to expand screening access and implementation. And this work continues, the job's not done. Just this year, I worked hard at my institution to establish for them to purchase a mobile lung cancer screening unit so we could travel to underserved areas in our very rural environment and populations in the state that still have no access to screening facilities. Based on the work and interactions that I've had through the IASLC, we've continued to make progress and improve this important implementation for equity and access to lung cancer screening around the world. Thank you.
Dr. Carbone, thank you. Thank you for all of your efforts regionally and globally on behalf of the IASLC. Now, the 8th TNM classification update led by the IASLC was released, and key changes included refined descriptors. There was excitement by the committee's decision to include the addition of thymic tumors and mesothelioma, emphasizing a comprehensive approach to thoracic malignancies. Advances weren't limited to staging. Stereotactic body radiation therapy, or SBRT, it emerged as an effective treatment for medically inoperable early-stage non-small cell lung cancer, providing excellent local control rates and favorable survival outcome. SBRT's role expanded to metastatic lung cancer. So this decade marked significant progress in precision medicine with the advent of testing and treating for tumor-specific genetic alterations like ALK, ROS1, BRAF, and NTRK, among many others. Identifying these alterations allowed oncologists to expand targeted therapy regimens, leading to improved outcomes for patients. The IASLC was a key collaborator in developing the CAP, IASLC AMP molecular testing guideline. Now, we are pleased to have with us Dr. Tony Mok. Tony Mok is a former IASLC president, distinguished awardee, and an oncologist from the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Welcome, Dr. Mok. Dr. Mok, we are so thrilled to have you here today because in addition to being a TV celebrity in Hong Kong and demonstrating great style always, much of your work has centered around biomarker and molecular targeted therapy. So can you share a story about what this field was like in the 2010s and what it meant to be part of all those exciting developments?
Absolutely, and thank you for the opportunity to share this great and fascinating experience. Now, one of the most pivotal phase 1 study on lung cancer in 2010 is actually on a molecule called PF2341066. Now it's actually known as crizotinib. Now, after screening 1,500 patients, that 82 patients of ALK translocation were identified, achieving a remarkable response of 77%. Now, that became a landmark such that testing for ALK become a potential standard and also set the stage to develop a phase 3 study called the Profile 1014. I can see Ben Solomon in the audience that we worked together on the project. And from there on, all patients with newly diagnosed lung cancer had to test for EGFR and ALK. Now, in the 2010, there's also 3 waves of development. The first is actually better, stronger, and CNS penetrating ALK inhibitor. And with the second generation, with achieving the median progression-free survival of 30 months, the 5-year overall survival over 60%, and even with the recent Crown study, third-generation drug, 5-year progression-free survival over 60% at that time. The second wave is actually more molecular target. Every year, we see some new target and new drug with high efficacy. The whole thing revolutionized personalized medicine. And notably, we have now the ROS, B1, MAC14 skipping, and all this influence the life of our patients. Now, the third way is to accommodate the testing. We have adopted routine molecular testing in all patients newly diagnosed with lung cancer. With the advent of the NGS, now actually become a standard, whether it's plasma testing or tissue testing, that we will do molecular testing to know the molecular profile. In summary, in this decade, we had access to the 3 Ts: testing, target, and treatment. And I was actually honored to be part of this journey in EGFR and ALK development, and most importantly, together with IASLC, we traveled this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mock. Thank you for being a part of our collective journey. Well, groundbreaking studies established immune checkpoint inhibitors as a new standard of care for patients with advanced non-small cell and small cell lung cancer. For the first time, this new class of systematic therapies led to cures for a subset of patients. Imagine that. We can cure metastatic lung cancer. These remarkable results open new avenues of research into earlier stage disease and combination therapies. Now, present with us is former IASLC president and Distinguished Service Award winner, Dr. Giorgio Scagliotti, an oncologist at the University of Torino in Italy. Please welcome Dr. Scagliotti. Doctor, thank you so much for being here. Now, can you tell us a bit about the profound implications of using immune checkpoint inhibitors to improve patient outcomes and how this organization contributed to that?
First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to discuss this unbelievable achievement that we made recently in the systemic treatment of non-small cell lung cancer with the immunocheckpoint inhibitors. Looking back, the introduction of this therapy for me, or for many of us, or for all of us, marked a second wave of innovation after the transformative impact of targeted therapy that have been discussed before. In response to this development, the IASLC took relevant steps to support the optimization of the only marker that we have, that is PD-L1. And it is critical to have critical rules in testing this marker, because in essence, this marker is guiding our treatment decision. The publication of the immunohistochemistry and PD-L1 atlas by the IASLC is showing the commitment of the organization to improve the diagnostic accuracy and patient outcomes. More recently, the immunocheckpoint expanded in the area of the early stages through neoadjuvant, adjuvant, and perioperative therapies. Again, the IASLC was at the forefront, organizing a workshop with the FDA and producing influential recommendation papers and studies, mainly on the assessment of pathological response. If we have many studies today, is in essence based also on the work of the IASLC. All these initiatives have been critically instrumental in providing to the clinician with tools and knowledge needed to make informed decisions. During this period of time, I was also honored to lead the IASLC through a transformational journey, at least for me and for many of the people sitting at this podium at this stage today. Mainly in 2017, 2018, when we made a new strategic plan that was succeeding a previous strategic plan that has been done by Dr. Paul Ban and by Dr. Hirsch. In essence, our scientific committees produced several projects and publications that are moving forward our mission. The progress we made in recent days is a direct result of our shared commitment to science and to each other. It is an exciting time for our field in the field of thoracic oncology, and I'm really honored to be part of the journey with all the people sitting in the audience and with the IASLC family.
Thank you, Dr. Scagliotti. Dr. Scagliotti, thank you for the collaboration and connection to this organization. Now, building on the science of the 2000s, the addition of immunotherapy after concurrent chemoradiotherapy demonstrated improved survival for patients with unresectable stage 3 non-small cell lung cancer. This major development established a new standard of care, underscoring the potential of immunotherapy in earlier stages of lung cancer, propelling research even farther. Are you sensing that excitement? You know, we needed to understand the impact of these treatments on patients' quality of life, and that required a broader team. Recognizing the vital role of nurses and allied health professionals, the IASLC created a new committee, a committee to address the holistic needs of the patient's physical, emotional, and psychosocial needs. Research showed that patients receiving earlier palliative care can live longer. Now, as part of our commitment to holistic care, IASLC brought the patient voice into our committees and onto our stages. Complementing our long-standing ties with leading advocacy organizations and capitalizing on our scientific strengths, we established the STARS, Supportive Training for Advocates on Research and Science program. STARS empower thoracic cancer survivors to become research advocates and leaders in their communities. Whatever your contribution, it's undeniable that this progress wouldn't have been possible without each and every one of you and the leadership during this incredibly important decade. We sincerely thank you for being a part of this journey. The 2010s laid a strong foundation for our continued race for a cure, and we weren't slowing down as we entered the next decade. So now, the 2020s. Here we go. Now, the 2020s, we're only 4 years into this decade, and what a ride it has already been. The introduction of artificial intelligence is changing the way we work, and the power of remote collaboration in the form of online meetings became a part of daily life. While remote work escalated, we are reminded how priceless it is to be able to get together in person at WCLC. Now, if you attended your first WCLC in the 2020s, whether that was virtual, or it was in Vienna, Singapore, or right here in San Diego, please stand up. That's right, even virtual. Thank you. Thank you so much. You deserve to be recognized because we want to say welcome. You're joining a strong family, and we hope that you'll continue this journey with us. Now, the decade started on a positive note. A U.S. study found that non-small cell lung cancer mortality rates, they were declining faster than incidence, a trend now being seen also in other countries. To everyone who contributed before this time, you did it. But there is still much work left to do. Surgery continues to evolve, where less is more, with sublobar resection declared the standard of care for patients with a small peripheral tumor. Now, surgery plus targeted therapy is here for early stage non-small cell lung cancer. Now, I want to point out these impressive hazard ratios. I mean, wow, what an impact osimertinib and alectinib have made. And you thought that was remarkable? Now there is surgery with even more options by putting IO into the mix. Whether it's neoadjuvant or perioperative or adjuvant, they have all demonstrated impact. Knowing which way to go requires a map. The IASLC commissioned a multidisciplinary panel of international experts to provide clinical management guidance for resectable non-small cell lung cancer. And now I am very pleased to welcome a former IASLC president and Distinguished Service Award recipient, Dr. Tetsuya Mitsudomi, a thoracic surgeon at Izumi City General Hospital, Japan. Dr. Mitsudomi, welcome.
Thank you.
Doctor, you led the IASLC through the turbulent first years of this decade and continued to push our association's scientific efforts forward. And for that very turbulent and difficult time, we are grateful and we thank you. Now, the advances in adjuvant targeted therapy and neoadjuvant and adjuvant IO are simply amazing. I would love to ask you, how did these discoveries really change the way we think about treatment and how the organizations continue to support the research in these important areas?
Thank you.
Thank you.
For nearly 2 decades, platinum doublet adjuvant therapy has been the standard for treating resectable lung cancer. While it provided a baseline of care, many of us, particularly in thoracic surgery, have been frustrated by its modest benefits. The gains, though real, have not fully met our expectations. Now we are entering a transformative era. The introduction of target therapies and immunotherapy has revolutionized metastatic lung cancer treatment, significantly improving survival. What is groundbreaking is the application of these advancements to earlier stage resectable lung cancer. The potential to increase cure rates for a broader patient population is within reach, which is incredibly exciting for someone trained in both surgery and medical oncology. However, even with these promising developments, vigilance is crucial. Many patients will still face the challenge of recurrence after surgery. This highlights the urgent need for further research to identify who is most at risk and why. To optimize outcomes, we must explore a strategy for escalating or de-escalating treatment based on individual biomarkers. This precision medicine approach is key to tailoring treatments that not only extend survival but also enhance the quality of life for our patients. In this rapidly evolving field, the IASLC is poised to play a pivotal role by supporting global collaborative studies and fostering a robust exchange of knowledge among researchers, clinicians, and scientists. To young researchers beginning their journey in thoracic oncology, active participation in IASLC activities is invaluable. Attending meetings like this offers opportunities to hear about the latest advancements, build a supportive network, and connect with renowned researchers. These interactions could spark the next breakthrough in your work, shaping the future of lung cancer treatment through collaboration and innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mitsudomi, everyone. We are grateful for him to share his amazing leadership and findings. Now, as of 3 months ago, we now have an EGFR TKI that is beneficial for patients with EGFR mutated non-small cell lung cancer of any stage. An EGFR TKI after definitive chemoradiotherapy in unresectable stage 3 locally advanced disease completes the therapeutic circle. This year, another therapeutic circle was closed. Patients with limited stage small cell lung cancer benefit from consolidation therapy with checkpoint inhibitors. We also found that dual checkpoint inhibitors improve survival rates and disease control for patients with another rare tumor, mesothelioma. IO is now another treatment for patients with mesothelioma. Drug development for new targetable RET, MET, HER2, KRAS, and EGFR exon 20 oncogenic drivers has exploded. Added to the arsenal were new generations of TKIs and the first ADC and bispecific antibody. The IASLC provided guidance to the community on molecular targets and testing methods with the publication of the IASLC Atlas of Molecular Testing in 2023. Now, joining the discussion is Dr. Heather Wakely, an oncologist from Stanford University in the United States. Dr. Wakely is the immediate past president of the IASLC and a longtime member and passionate supporter of the association. Welcome, Dr. Wakely. Thank you so much for your leadership. Now, during this time, we saw the emergence of new targeted therapies and ADCs in advanced non-small cell lung cancer and targeted therapies in locally advanced non-small cell lung cancer. So could you share with us the importance of these new therapies?
Absolutely. It's really exciting to be here with all of these folks on stage and with the audience. And I remember how exciting it was 20 years ago when we first were hearing about the development of the EGFR TKIs. And it was really a complete paradigm shift. And since then, we've learned that we have to test and we can find mutations, and there are many more of them to find and many, many treatment options. But back then we didn't realize what the tip of the iceberg, where we really were. And it's just been incredible to be a part of IASLC and be so close with the members who have been such a part of the development of all of these different options. It's also now so exciting as we have these treatment options to know that they're not only helping patients with metastatic disease, but we've now brought this into earlier stages. As highlighted in the IASLC Atlas of Molecular Testing, that really emphasizes what we've already really come to understand, which is that if we don't understand what's going on with the patient's tumor fully and don't understand that patient as a person, we really aren't able to treat them the best way possible. And those treatment options continue to explode, as you just went through: EGFR, ALK, RET, ROS1, NTRK, MET, KRAS, HER2, BRAF. I have missed a few. I know the list keeps growing. And that makes our job as researchers, physicians, APP, nurses, allied health, kind of daunting, but also really hopeful and exciting. But as daunting as it is for us, this rapidly expanding options are even more overwhelming, really, for patients and caregivers in trying to understand what's really going to be the best choice for them. But it also brings that hope message we keep hearing about from everybody today. And being able to hear directly the patient voice, the patient perspective through the voices of our patient advocates has really added tremendously to the fight against thoracic cancers by keeping those voices right at the forefront and by bringing information and support then back to patients. And so that's a really important part of the circle as well, as you were talking about. So we're really in exciting times. Despite these advances, our work is really far from done. We must continue to strive toward a time when we have targeted therapies that work for years and years, or better yet, have treatments that just cure the disease overall if we can't stop it from developing to begin with. It is really exciting when we talk about the targeted agents, we talk about the immune therapy, and we talk about the newer drugs that are really combining those together, the ADCs, the bispecifics, and I think other treatments on the horizon. And that really, I think, gives us all that hope that we need to have as we continue to move forward. So it really is a wonderful time to be involved in lung cancer research and to be able to, have to struggle with, well, what can we talk about? Not because there wasn't much to talk about, but because there's just so much. And we really do continue to have more and more hope for our patients to be able to live longer and with that better quality of life. So thank you.
Dr. Wakely, thank you. Thank you for the hope, the patient-centric attitude, and all the advancements yet to come. Now, recognizing the need to be more respectful and patient-centered in written and oral scientific presentations, the IASLC Patient Advocacy Committee published the Language Guide. It is an important reminder that language is a powerful tool, and words matter. The popularity of the JTO, well, that just continued to grow, as well as the volume of cutting-edge research. To meet the demand, the IASLC, led by JTO Editor-in-Chief Alex Adji, launched an open access journal, the Journal of Thoracic Oncology Clinical and Research Reports. In 2023, Alex passed the torch to Emily Stone. Now, looking ahead, the 9th edition of the TNM classification for thoracic malignancies is scheduled for AJCC and UICC adoption in early 2025. But each one of you can pick up your staging cards today while supplies last at the IASLC membership booth. Not a member? Well, you can join at the booth when you pick up that staging card. Now we are honored to have with us IASLC's current president, Dr. Paul Van Schil, a thoracic and vascular surgeon at the Faculty of Medicine, Antwerp University Hospital in Belgium. Dr. Van Schil has also served as a long-standing member of the IASLC Staging and Prognostic Factors Committee. With that, welcome Dr. Van Schil. Oh, Dr.
Thank you,
Van
Laura.
Schil.
Thank you very much.
Now, I know how important staging is to you and your work, and the release of the 9th edition of the IASLC Staging Classification System is a major advancement for the thoracic cancer community. Could you please share with all of us why effective staging is so critically important and the role this organization has made?
Thank you very much, Laura. Staging thoracic cancer is not just a technical task. It's central to the mission of the IASLC. It serves as our guiding principle and the foundation for our research, patient care, and global collaboration. Precise cancer staging is crucial because it's more than a prognostic tool. It's the universal language that unites clinicians and scientists worldwide, ensuring we all speak with one voice in patient care. Our journey began with the pioneering work of Dr. Clifton Mountain. In 1996, the IASLC made a bold move forward with the launch of the IASLC Staging Project, which evolved into the Staging and Prognostic Factors Group, or SPFG. I had the honor myself of being invited by Dr. Peter Goldstraw, a very influential thoracic surgeon, to several IASLC staging meetings. I became, and I'm still, heavily infected by the staging virus. Under the leadership of Dr. Ramon Rami Porta, Dr. Isaiah Asamura, and Dr. Valerie Rush, along with every member of the SPFG, we've made significant progress in refining this global cornerstone. Staging remains certainly a core endeavor for the IASLC, and I'm proud to continue contributing to this vital mission. Our commitment to precise staging is more than a professional obligation. It's a passion, a calling, and a promise to every patient whose life depends on our work's accuracy. I'm honored to stand alongside those leaders who have transformed the field and IASLC. I want to thank sincerely everyone who has served on committees, mentored, planned meetings, or participated in our initiatives. We have built this community together. I also want to thank our CEO, Dr. Karen Kelly, and the IASLC staff for enabling this work. I especially want to recognize the patients for whom we all exist. It's an honor to serve as your president, and I encourage you to remain engaged with the IASLC. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Van Schil. You know, that insight shows you where you're headed as well as where you've been. Now, before we move to the future, let's look at just how far the organization has come. In 50 years, we've grown from 250 members in 28 countries into an organization serving more than 12,000 members from 105 countries. And more importantly, we continue to pursue our mission of being an inclusive, international, multidisciplinary organization with our most diverse membership to date. Our amazing diverse community, working in conjunction with the IASLC leadership, has made incredible progress in the 2020s. And the decade isn't even halfway over. But what does the future hold? Where do we go from here? So stay with us as together we look at what might be possible. Now imagine the future. A future where the world is tobacco-free. A world in which you take a medicine that eradicates lung cancer before it ever begins. A device detects lung cancer before it's visualized. Your individual health matrix is constructed while you shop. All the technology in your practice or your research lab, it's powered by quantum computing and artificial intelligence. All patients have access to multidisciplinary care, and that care comes to you. Building the future is a job that requires all of us. With that in mind, I have a question for you. What is the one most important advance that you believe will help us conquer thoracic cancers in the 21st century? Now, that advance can be scientific, it can be clinical, policy, or even global healthcare delivery. We are going to build a word cloud in real time using your response. So please use the QR code to answer the question and contribute to building a common vision for the future. And I'll give you a minute to think and answer that question. But while you quietly continue and zap that QR code and be a part of the cloud, I am going to turn to IASLC's president-elect. It's Chai-Twin Zhu, so he can share his thoughts on this question. Dr. Zhou is a medical oncologist at Tongji University in Shanghai East Hospital who focuses on early detection, molecular targeted therapy, anti-angiogenesis therapy, and immunotherapy. So please welcome Dr. Zhou. Sir,
thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us. When you thought about this question about the future, what was your answer?
It is profound honor to stand before you as President-elect of IASLC. As I look forward toward the future, I'm filled with hope and optimism, not only for the continued progress in our field, but also for powerful impact we can achieve together as a global community. In recent years, we have witnessed remarkable advancement in the thoracic oncology across all clinical disciplines. Additionally, there has been a large amount of basic research on lung cancer. The focus of future research will be on how to translate these findings into clinical applications. We have noticed that artificial intelligence has been successfully applied in various medical fields. In the future, it will revolutionize everything, from early detection, diagnosis, and novel treatments to treatment monitoring and patient well-being. AI is expected to become a valuable tool in lung-cancer prevention and treatment. However, science alone is not enough. Global cooperation in our field is much more important than ever. The challenges we face require us to work together, share our knowledge, and learn from each other so we can accelerate our progress and bring hope to millions of patients worldwide. The IASLC has always been the beacon for collaboration, uniting international experts to achieve our shared mission. My hope for the future is that we continue to strengthen this bond, support each other in our work, inspire next generation of leaders to conquer thoracic malignancy globally. I thank you for your trust, dedication, and unwavering commitment to this cause. I ask that all of you to stay with me and the IASLC on the journey.
Bravo. Thank you so much. Thank you. Chai Chuen-jo. This is an inspiring moment to hear the thoughts of all of these leaders, and we are so excited to see where collectively you all lead the IASLC. Now, as our word cloud is being generated, I want to request IASLC's CEO, Dr. Karen Kelly, to join me here on center stage. Welcome, Dr. Kelly.
Thank you.
Dr. Kelly, you proudly say you grew up in the IASLC.
True.
And you've been the CEO since 2022. You have shown incredible passion about guiding the IASLC in its fight. What's your word for the future?
Well, my word for the future is the IASLC. So it really is what we have been talking about already here. So many great advances that will be building blocks to our future. You saw the series go by on artificial intelligence, prevention, tobacco-free world, I think collaborations, overcoming drug resistance, new technologies to overcome radiation resistance, and just amazing work in terms of helping to diminish and decrease and abolish global health inequities is really important as well, and making sure that all of our patients are truly well informed and look at us. And I think we're such a good role model for inclusion of patients, physicians, researchers, all stakeholders as we continue on this quest, and our future is really, really bright.
Dr. Kelly, thank you for your leadership with this bright future ahead. And look at that collaboration right in the center of it all. We've heard this from all the leaders on stage. We hear it from you in the sessions. And Dr. Kelly, any closing comments as you're leading the way?
Again, I'm just so proud to be part of this organization. As you said, I have grown up with all of these wonderful mentors behind me, with learning from them, learning from each and every one of you. It's just been amazing, and I hope that you all continue to enjoy the conference and the celebration.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kelly. Boy, are we grateful. Everyone in this room, I know, shares the excitement that you see for the path forward and how we can all make that future we together are deciding to make a reality. Now, we certainly hope that all of you have found this session not only informative, but inspiring. Your biggest takeaway from this discussion should be this. When we started 50 years ago, we couldn't imagine the advances we are able to use today. And that should motivate every one of us not only to be optimistic, but to increase our efforts and achieve this future we all want. Because if we can continue to work together, we can decrease thoracic cancer mortality. We can improve the lives of patients today and tomorrow. And we will conquer thoracic cancers worldwide in the 21st century. I want to thank our guests on stage for both their participation today and their guidance and their leadership. Let's hear it for our leaders. And I want to thank all of you live streaming this program right now, all of you here in this room for your active involvement in the IASLC and in this great field. Thank you all. Now, we hope to see you at the poster-viewing networking reception following this session and later tonight at the block party. I personally can't wait to see you in all of your favorite outfits from the last 50 years. So for the leaders on the stage, for the IASLC, I'm Laura Schwartz. Continue the great work and good night.